You send the message, you lock the phone. 2 minutes later, you check it anyway. No reply. Seen an hour ago, then 2, then 4, and somewhere underneath your day, something has tightened that you can't quite name. Logically, you know they're busy, but logic and your nervous system are having two completely different conversations right now. And your nervous system is winning. You're not staring at your phone. You're staring at the story your mind is building around the silence. And the difference between those two things is the whole video. 3 things. Why silence physically hurts. Why some people feel it 10 times harder than others. And the simple test that tells you whether a late reply is rejection or just a delay your fear is decorating. First, the most important reframe of this video. A late reply can feel like rejection before anyone has actually rejected you. Nothing was said. Nothing was decided. Your body just started reacting as if the verdict had already arrived, and here's why it physically hurts. Neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA scanned the brains of people experiencing social rejection. She found that rejection activates some of the same brain regions involved in the distress of physical pain. When rejection feels physical, that doesn't mean you're imagining it. It means your brain treats social threat as something deeply, biologically important. For most of human history, being excluded from your group meant you might not survive the night. Your nervous system never updated. It still reads social silence as a signal worth panicking about, which means that tight chest, that low-grade sick feeling, it isn't proof you're broken. It's proof your nervous system is doing exactly what it evolved to do. Second, what digital silence specifically does to your brain. Face-to-face, you get tone, expression, body language. Texting strips all of that away. Psychologist Stanley Budner described something called ambiguity intolerance, the brain's discomfort with incomplete information. When humans don't have the full picture, we rarely fill in the blanks with kind explanations. A scared brain rarely writes a hopeful story. The silence becomes a blank space, and your old fears walk in and start narrating it for you. They're annoyed. You said too much. You don't matter as much as you thought. None of that was in the silence. The silence didn't say anything. Your fear filled in the words and handed you back the conversation as if the other person had spoken it. This is why logic feels useless. You can tell yourself they're busy. The part of you that feels rejected isn't asking about their schedule. It's asking a deeper question. Are we still okay? Do I still matter? Did I misread the connection? That part doesn't need a calendar. It needs reassurance, and a screen can't give it. Third, the childhood layer, because not everyone reacts this intensely. Some genuinely don't notice. Others feel it for a full day. And that difference can trace further back than the phone in your hand. Researcher Geraldine Downey at Columbia developed the model of rejection sensitivity, a tendency to anxiously expect, easily perceive, and intensely react to rejection cues, even when no rejection is actually happening. For some people, this sensitivity can be shaped by earlier relationships where closeness felt unpredictable, where a shift in tone could precede being shut out, where distance historically was the first sign of loss. A young nervous system in that environment learns to listen very closely for signals of withdrawal, to catch a cooling before anyone confirms it, to prepare for being left just in case. That listening doesn't always switch off as you grow up. The original environment is gone, but the scanning continues, and a late reply has become the modern signal it was trained to track. Then comes the part nobody talks about. Once silence starts feeling like rejection, you may begin acting from the rejection before you actually know whether it's real. You pull back. You go quieter. You reply colder. You delete the warmer message you almost sent. You tell yourself you're done caring. Attachment researchers call this protest behavior, withdrawing first, going cold first, leaving before they can leave you. It feels like dignity. Most of the time, it's just preempted pain. Because leaving first can feel safer than waiting to be left. The control feels like power. What it actually is a quiet exit from a room nobody was actually pushing you out of. And here's the tragedy. The cold reply, the never mind, the sudden distance, it isn't pride, it's protection. A way of saying I felt exposed and didn't know what else to do. The other person was just driving, or in a meeting, or surviving their own day. By the time they reply with something ordinary, you've already run a marathon of grief inside your chest. And the next part is the one that changes everything. It is the razor-thin line between a temporary story that is hurting you and a permanent pattern that is trying to warn you. Here's the honest split. Two completely different things can look identical from inside. A late reply from someone who loves you, and a late reply from someone slowly pulling away. From the outside, both are just a silent phone. The first is information missing. One delay on one day from one person doesn't yet mean anything. You don't have enough data to write the story. Your fear writing it anyway is a habit, not a fact. The second is information repeating, not one delay, a pattern. Disappears when things get real, avoids repair, only returns when convenient, leaves you in chronic uncertainty about whether you matter. Same silence, opposite meaning. The test is simple. Is this isolated or is this what they always do? Isolated is information missing. Wait for more data. Repeating is information given. The silence has stopped being neutral, and your body is right to notice. The goal isn't to excuse every delay. Some patterns are real, and your kindness will keep excusing them long after your nervous system has stopped buying it. But one delay is not a pattern. Many people who feel late replies intensely are reading every message as if it were the pattern. That's not weakness. It's a system trained on instability that hasn't learned the difference yet. There's a line worth carrying with you after this video ends. A delayed answer is not the same as your worth being delayed. Your value isn't sitting in a typing bubble. It was decided long before that phone lit up. Before you go, here's one thing to try in the next 24 hours. A small, deliberate move the next time silence starts getting loud. Separate the fact from the story. Fact: they haven't replied yet. Story: my mind is telling me they're upset, I did something wrong. Name them as two different things. That tiny separation matters. Because when fact and story fuse, anxiety sounds like truth. When you pull them apart, even slightly, you create the smallest amount of room for something other than fear to speak. Then ask one quiet question. What else could be true? Not to force denial, just to remind your brain that fear isn't the only narrator allowed in the room. They could be overwhelmed, they could be tired, they could care deeply and still be slow. You don't have to punish yourself before you have enough information. Come back and tell me in the comments what shifted. If you've spent years feeling foolish for caring about a notification, you're not foolish. You're a nervous system that learned somewhere to listen very closely for distance. That listening once kept you safe. The problem is it's still running in rooms that don't have the dangers it was built for. The work isn't to stop caring. The work is to stop confusing one delay with the whole story. To let the silence be silent for a little longer before you decide what it means. And if a real pattern is there, repeated disappearance, repeated avoidance, let that be information too. Your nervous system isn't always wrong. Sometimes it's the only thing paying close enough attention. Silence isn't always rejection. Waiting isn't always abandonment. But a steady pattern of unanswered need is data, and you're allowed to act on data, just not on fear alone. If any of this hit subscribe and like. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people who need to hear it. Tell me in the comments when a reply is late. Do you usually feel it as information missing or as a verdict already arrived? Honest answer.